What I learned is that you can learn anything you need to learn to achieve any goal you can set for yourself. And I teach that, and I've taught that for more than 30 years. You can learn anything you need to learn to achieve any goal you can set. If you want to become healthy or wealthy or raise happy children or build a successful business, you can learn how, which means there are no limits. And that was the big turning point in my life. One of the keys is to become very good at what you do. But what I teach is the importance of goal setting very clear goals, objectives, and making plans to achieve the goals, and then working on those goals each day. Because when you are working toward a goal, your self-confidence goes up, your energy goes up, you actually become more intelligent, you have more self-esteem and self-confidence. So this feeling of forward movement is one of the most important success secrets in the world. Successful people are always moving toward something important to them. And the feeling of movement makes them happy. It releases endorphins in your brain, which cause you to be more creative, more positive, stronger, more powerful. Set goals, work every day toward the achievement of your most important goals. Now, what I discovered, which was one of the most important things of all, is that self-esteem, the other side of self-esteem, is called self-efficacy, which is a word that means that you are good at what you do. So therefore, when you work to become better in your field, whatever you're doing, whether it's in school or in your job, you feel more confident and more positive about yourself. So the more you like yourself, the better you become. And the better you become, the more you like yourself. So you can actually get onto an upward spiral. You see, when you're doing things of high value, things that are moving you towards something that you want, you feel happy. When you're doing things of low value or no value, you feel angry. And so you find much negativity comes from not being productive. People feel that they're just not using themselves very well. Another thing that I would teach people has to do with self-confidence. And I have what is called a speaking academy, where I will take 12 people every 3 months, and I will teach them in 3 days how to speak, how to give a talk. People come in at one level mentally, and they go out at this level in terms of self-confidence. They are unbelievable. They can be shaking or nervous at the beginning of this 3-day program. At the end of the 3-day program, they are amazing. They have so much confidence. And 3 months later, when you meet them, they're still the same. They've actually, like a chick coming out of an egg that breaks out of the egg and becomes a bird, well, they actually break out to a new level and they never go back. Remember, at the end of the day, it's the value that you produce that determines the entire quality of your life. The more value you can produce, whether it's learning technologies. Doctors charge $35,000 for an operation. $35,000, and they would do it in 90 minutes. $35,000, and people line up for a good doctor to do a particular type of surgery. Well, it's the same thing. You can become a doctor of your own profession. You can become really, really good at what you do, and people will pay you an enormous amount.
The golden triangle for me, what I call the turning points in my life. And the first is to accept responsibility for your life. All negativity in your life, all failure and frustration, all negative emotions comes from your failure to accept responsibility. And if you look at our political problems and our welfare and our problems everywhere in the world today, you'll find that at the heart there's people that will not accept responsibility. They blame someone or something else for their problems. And if you do that, you have to first of all realize that it's not true. You are responsible for your own life. Nobody put a gun to your head and made you do or not do anything. And accept responsibility, don't blame other people. And the second turning point for me was learning how to write down your goals. If you are not writing down goals, then you are earning a fraction of what you can earn. If you want to increase your income by 10 times, write down your goals and make a plan to achieve the goals, and then work on the plan every day. Accept responsibility, set your goals and work on them every day. And then number 3, which is the magic, is dedicate your whole life to continuous learning. As Peter Drucker said, leaders are learners, is they learn all the time. If you are successful, you perceive yourself as a helper. See yourself as a helper, that your job is not to sell a product or services, but to help this person improve the quality of their life or work in some way with your product. So you focus on how you can help, and then explain how your product or service is designed for that, or not. And one of the things you can say is, look, please explain to me your situation here, and I will tell you what my product or service does, and you can tell me if there's a fit. And if there is, then we'll find a way to make it work, and if there's not, then there's not. And so there's never any pressure.
Why is it that people buy from one person rather than another? The answer is because they have greater trust in that person. They have greater trust in that person's product or service. Now, everything that you can do to build a higher level of credibility, belief, confidence in you is going to get you business that your competitors are not going to get.
For young people, the key to success is very simple. You must become very good at doing something that is important and valuable to an employer. You must become very good at it. There are no successful people who are average, and it takes a long time to become very good at something, even if it's to be a gardener or an interviewer or a speaker. It takes a long time to become good at it, but you must be determined from the beginning to work extra hours to become very good at the work that you do. If you do that, every door of opportunity will open for you. Your self-confidence will go up. People will admire you and respect you. Your employers will open doors for you. It's the most amazing thing. And yet only 10% of the population knows this. 80% of the population works for a while, according to research. They work to become okay at their work, and then they level off. And years go by and they never improve. They do their job just enough not to lose their job. Unless, of course, there's a downturn in the economy. And they are the first ones that are let go from their company. So the top 10%, however, are constantly improving. Lifelong improvement, learning new things and becoming better. If you do that, you own the future. And if you don't do that, you are always a victim of rapid change. And success is very simple. If you have a clear goal, be clear about the most important goal in your life, the goal that could help you the most if you achieved it. When you're young, it's usually a financial goal, but it may be a health goal or a business goal, a relationship goal. But be clear about your most important goal, and then make a plan to achieve it, and then do something, at least one thing each day, that moves you one step closer to your most important goal. Just a small step. And the best is to do it first thing each morning. Start your day by doing something that moves you toward your most important goal. Now, the second thing I say is that in order to achieve a business goal, you have to become excellent at something. And it's usually not very much. There's usually about 2 or 3 skills that you need to be at the top in your field, in any field. And so you ask yourself, if I was excellent in one skill, what skill would help me the most to achieve my most important goal? And so you set that as a goal as well. So now you have the two, the goal and the skill, which are like a railroad car. They're locked together. Is as you work to become better in that skill, you start to achieve your goal faster.
Yeah.
As you achieve your goal faster and you become better, your self-confidence goes up. Your self-esteem goes up. You become internally motivated and driven to do more.
The most important quality you can have is to be unstoppable, is to make a decision in advance that you will never give up. Now, you don't make a decision when you have the setback or the disappointment, when you're down and so on. You make it in advance. So what you do is, instead of falling down and laying there, you bounce. What you do is you program yourself by affirmations. You talk to yourself and you say things that you want to believe about yourself. You want them to be true. And so you say to yourself, I am unstoppable. So say it. That's the key decision. You make a decision in advance that you will never give up. If you are listening to this and you want to become an unstoppable person, And millionaires and billionaires I've worked with have all said that there's a direct relationship between how persistent you are in the face of adversity and how likely you are to be successful, how unstoppable you are. If you want to become unstoppable, whenever you feel any kind of a disappointment, you just say, oh, wait a minute, I'm unstoppable. I never quit. I never quit. Write it down. I am unstoppable. I'm unstoppable. Like your teacher used to make you write it down 50 times. I am unstoppable. And what happens is it locks in to your subconscious mind, and you are pre-prepared so that when you have the inevitable disappointments and setbacks, you just bounce back. Resilient. You're unstoppable. And pretty soon you have it for life.
From a very early age, I have been very persistent. And that's really the most important quality, because every successful person fails over and over again. You lose time, you lose money, you take bad jobs, you make bad investments, you start businesses that don't work, or you produce products that don't sell. So I have never thought about failure. And what I learned later was that successful people don't think about failure. If you say, what were your failures? They do not have an answer for you, because they can't think of having a failure. But successful people have learning experiences, painful learning experiences, expensive learning experiences. And if you learn from each experience, you get smarter and smarter. And it's part of the process of education, of learning what you need to learn. It is impossible to succeed without failing first, and usually without failing many times. I started off from a poor family with no education. And I began asking, why is it that some people are more successful than others? And I began to ask other people and to read and to study. And I spent my whole life researching the answer to that question. Why are some people more successful? And what we find is that there are specific reasons. And if you do what other successful people do, you get the same results. And if you don't, you don't. And so you can start from anywhere, any background, any nationality. But if you do what other successful people do, like physical fitness or mental fitness, you can soon get the same results. One of the greatest obstacles to success is self-doubt. Is we doubt ourselves. We think maybe I'm not smart enough, or maybe I'm not old enough, or experienced enough, or educated enough. And so self-doubt holds people back. Now, the reverse of self-doubt is self-confidence. So what I tell my children and my grandchildren is, first of all, you have unlimited abilities. You can do anything. You can learn anything you need to learn. You can achieve any goal you can set for yourself. But I also say you are a thoroughly good person. You are a very good person, and you must never doubt yourself. No matter how many problems you have in life, hold on to that. The biggest enemy of success, I would say there's probably 3 enemies of success. The first big enemy is the comfort zone. The comfort zone is where people become comfortable doing what they're doing, and they don't like to change. So there's tremendous resistance to change in our society. 80% of the population finds reasons not to change, even if the change can be positive or beneficial. The second thing that holds people back is what is called learned helplessness. This is where people feel, I can't do it. I cannot make a change because of the economy, because of the world, because of my company, because of my childhood. They are always thinking about excuses or reasons why they cannot change, why they cannot do something new or different. And the third enemy is what we call the path of least resistance, which is always looking for an easy way to achieve a result. But nothing worthwhile can be achieved easily. Everything worthwhile requires a long period of hard work, with many failures along the way. Where Mark Twain said, if the first thing you do in the morning is you eat a live frog, you will have the satisfaction of knowing that that's the worst thing that can happen to you all day long, is eating a live frog. Well, the live frog is your biggest and most important task. And if you start every day by doing your biggest and most important task completely, then you start your day off with tremendous energy, and all day long you will be more productive. All day long your mind will be sharp. You'll have more energy. Pick your most important task, like your most important goal that you work on each day. Pick your most important task and complete it first thing in the morning. Most people are lazy. and they're looking for an easy way. They're looking for a shortcut to be successful, and there aren't any. But if you do something repeatedly over and over, you develop a habit. So most people are in the habit of looking for easy ways to get the things they want. And they're surrounded by people who think the same way. You know, as much as 95% of your thinking is determined by the people that you associate with on a regular basis. If you associate with people who don't work hard, don't learn, socialize after work, then you become like them. You think like them, you talk like them, you dress like them, you marry them, and so you're married to someone who also has no ambition. And you raise children, and your children have no ambition. Just go to work and complain about your work. But top people associate with other top people.
Clock test. When you look at the clock, what do you think? What pops into your mind? Well, people who are successful look at the clock and they believe that every day is a race against that clock. How much can they get done before they can't work anymore? Before they have to go home? Before the day is over? They start turning off the lights. And so that clock is an enemy, and they race against the enemy. They want to do lots of stuff, and they'll come in earlier, and they'll work at lunchtimes, and they'll stay later, and they'll come in on the weekends because they want to cover more ground. Well, 80% of people have a different attitude toward the clock. The clock is the enemy as well, but the clock tells you when you have to start, when you have to stop goofing around, when you have to finally get to work, and then when you can stop for coffee. And then when you have to start up again, and when you stop for lunch, and when you can start up again. And so you're always looking upon the clock as your enemy that makes you work. And so you find successful people see the clock differently. They see time as an opportunity to contribute more value. Those are the greatest words, contribute value. And unsuccessful people see the clock as the indicator of when they can stop working. 85% of self-made millionaires, when they were asked, how did you become a millionaire with all the competition? They said, 85% said, hard work. He said, it's not a miracle. I wasn't smarter. I didn't get good grades. I didn't come from a wealthy family, but I was willing to work harder than anyone else. And that was my basic personality anyway, work harder than anyone else. And I have never found an exception to that worldwide in every language and culture. Successful people work harder than the average person, and very hard. So many people, unfortunately, never were told that if you want to be successful, because everybody wants to be successful, so the competition is fierce. Everybody wants to be successful, and nobody's better than you, and nobody's smarter than you. You have exactly the same abilities. Just like you can drive a car, you can be successful. You can drive a car, you can become wealthy. These people who are wealthy are people who just worked harder than the average person and worked harder for a long time.
Kiss that frog means dealing with negative events in a positive and constructive way. Because the greatest single obstacle to success and happiness in life is negative emotions, negative experiences that a person continues to think about. So how do you stop thinking about negative experiences? Kiss that frog is 12 ways to overcome negatives and become completely positive. It's very powerful. And the law of attraction says that if you change the way you think, you start to attract new people into your life. If you become aggressive about personal development and personal growth, you start to meet other people who think the same way. And the old groups of people that you associated with fall away, and the new group of people appears. So people say, well, where do I find positive people who are thinking about success all the time? First, you become one, and then you will naturally attract it.
One of the books that I read on luck, it was called The Luck Factor, and it had been written 20 or 30 years before, said that much of luck in life comes from a chance meeting with a stranger. He said it's you chat with somebody on a bus or at a dinner party, or somebody comes into your office or you go into their office and you're chatting and a piece of information pops up and your life is never the same. That is the last piece in the jigsaw puzzle that completed your perception of what you needed to be successful. It's just most amazing thing. So success, it comes not by luck, but it comes by hard work and by trying certain things over and over again until you actually do the right thing in the right way at the right time. And the more, if you're really successful, work harder. You've heard the old saying, the harder I work, the luckier I get. And the great problem today is that 80% of people try to do the very least amount of work for the amount that they are paid. The most successful people try to do the very most and more. What is luck? Well, luck is not something that comes out of the sky. It's a matter of probabilities. If you do certain things in a certain way over and over again, you're more likely to be lucky, to have a happy coincidence, than if you don't. So therefore, if you want to be successful at sales, as I wanted to be, I read everything I could find on selling. I listened to every audio program. I practiced and practiced and practiced. And no coincidence, surprise, surprise, I was lucky. I started to make more and more sales. And I got into real estate development. I got into manufacturing, distribution, all kinds of things. I just buried myself in research.